Guys, welcome back to Bench Talk. My gun is clear. This is my 26-inch 243 Ackley that I built off of Mack Brothers action. I've used this rifle a lot in 2023, even though I haven't done a video on it. Absolutely love this rifle. It's in a KRG Bravo chassis. Right, I use a bunch of these. I really enjoy them. You can change length of pull, which is great to fit kind of smaller stature shooters or someone who's larger like myself. Mack Brothers action, it's their EVO Gen 2. Comes with a threaded bolt. It has a quick or toolless firing pin removal, which is great, just like the Howa 1500s do. The bolt does have like proprietary fluting. It's nitrided. The receiver's stainless. It kind of comes in kind of like a stainless matte finish. And then I have on a Remington style pre-fit. It's an MTU contour. It is a 1-in-7 twist. It's a 26-inch barrel, and it is a 243 Ackley Improved match chamber. So basically match chamber is just the chamber's threaded longer than a standard 243 Ackley would be. I get this barrel, it's a Criterion barrel, but I get them directly through Northland Shooter Supply. I have a handful of these barrels. I really like them. The one thing I don't like is that it's a 1-in-7 twist. I do wish it was a 1-in-8. I currently have a 1-in-8 on order for this rifle, along with the 243 Ackley that's sitting behind me. That's the Howa 1500. Since I'm mentioning that, if you guys want to see a video on that, please go to my YouTube channel and you guys can see a video on my budget Howa 1500 build, which is a 22-inch 243 Ackley. And if you haven't already figured out, I do really like this cartridge. This rifle in particular, I do use for hunting. So the 1-in-7 twist was kind of necessary for the bullets that I run. So I currently run it's a 100 grain Bulldozer 2 by Badlands Precision. Badlands Precision, I'm pretty sure is in South Dakota, but they make a monolithic copper bullet with it's a hollow point bow tail, but it has I think it's an aluminum ballistic tip. I'll have a video up here, my cartridge overall length and the information related to that. But I'm using Alpha Munitions 260 Remington small rifle primer brass, right? I load it up, well, I full length size it down to 243 Winchester. I load it, I shoot it, and turn it into a 243 Ackley, so I have small rifle primer brass, and Alpha Munitions makes great brass. And then my current load is right, the 100 grain Badlands Precision Bulldozer 2, 6.5 stay ball, and then I'm using CCI 41 primers, so right, the military version of CCI 450s. Out of this rifle currently, I'm pushing them at 3250. So they're screaming, and they have a G1 ballistic coefficient of 0.6. So I have shot them out to 1,000 yards. Realistically, right under 1,000 for what I'm doing. I killed a cow elk in the state of Nevada this past year in 2023 with this rifle. I shot it at 350 yards off my tripod, actually. So basically I hiked out into a field. We were hunting for elk, but we took a break. We were out coyote hunting, and as we were coyote hunting, we basically came into a huge basin, did some quick glassing, and we ended up spotting a herd of cow elk at about 1,500 yards away from where we were at. We hiked out. I had this rifle set up, which I was planning on using for the trip, and yeah, shot my elk. It ended up taking a couple steps and standing there as the rest of the herd took off, and then I did a follow-up shot and I dropped it in its tracks. So that was great. Along with that, I take this thing coyote hunting. This is my coyote hunting gun for California, since I have to use non-lead ammunition. I am big into predator hunting, so I've taken this rifle out hunting. The last time I went, I shot a coyote at 350 yards. I shot a second one, cross canyon shot at 375. And then on the exact property where we went hunting, I have a steel plate set out at about 750 yards. Just kind of as shits and giggles, as we were leaving the ranch, I grabbed my hunting load, right? I checked my dope, and I cold bore, took a 750 yard shot and smacked the steel plate, which it's just they're by Caldwell. They're basically 8-inch steel plates. So, right, it's a 1 MOA plate at 750 yards, a little larger, but still, I was super happy with that. This gun shoots great. The bullet cuts the wind really awesome. With that, this has been phenomenal to build off of, due to the fact that, right, I don't have to go through the process of sending out an action to get blueprinted, there's nothing with that. The Mack Brothers action comes with packed full of great features. It has a side bolt release, right? Threaded bolt knob, bolts nitrided, has a tool-less firing pin removal, which is awesome, but specifically the action. It has a, like I mentioned, side bolt release, but trigger hanger. So normally I'm used to working with like Remington 700s where you're having to swap the, when you swap the trigger out, you're having to deal with the actual bolt release along with the springs and stuff that go along with that, which can be kind of a pain in the ass. With that, this doesn't have that. It has its own little self-contained thing, right? You have a side bolt release, so you don't have to worry about the side bolt release pins or springs. And then the other really, really nice thing is it doesn't have a true front recoil lug that's integrated. What they did, their design on this action, is the thread tenon for the actual receiver continues past the receiver. So if you can kind of see the line for the front recoil lug, the thread tenon actually continues through the front recoil lug. So imagine they had an oversized action, they mill down the front of the action to where they're not cutting the threads, but they can slip a recoil lug over it. So it's actually press fit on there. And it's like a hexagonal shape, so it can't rotate, which is great because when you're putting on pre-fit barrels like I run, like the Remington barrels, on a standard Remington 700 action, you either have to get a tool, which you screw into your front recoil lug, like the actual front recoil lug bolt that hooks into the action, and that will keep it true. It basically holds the front recoil lug in place where when you tighten your barrel down, it won't move. Or you do what I do and you kind of just sit there and guesstimate and you try to make sure that you think it's square, because I was always too cheap to buy one of those tools. So these things are super nice. I really enjoy it. This is threaded on the end 5/8 by 24, and currently I do have a Air Cortina, I think it's the version 2 tuner brake. I just threw this on there recently. I previously have not been shooting this with a muzzle brake. I am going to take this rifle and go shoot a local match coming up, and so due to that, I don't feel like this thing has a ton of recoil, but just to help me mitigate muzzle rise when I am shooting at targets, I threw a brake on here, and so it shoots great with the brake. And then my current target load, I am shooting 260 Alpha munitions, or it's 260 Remington large rifle primer Alpha munitions brass, right? Same thing. I size it down to 243. I shoot it, fire form it to the Ackley chamber, and I am shooting the same thing as my other rifle behind me, just less of a powder charge. It's going to be 112 grain match burners, and by Barnes, my Alpha brass and stable 6.5, and then it is large rifle primer brass, so I'm using standard CCI 200 large rifle primers. It's done pretty good so far, so kind of funny. And this comes down to, you shoot what bullet, you basically pick your bullet you're going to shoot based off your barrel twist, or vice versa. So like I like the 112 grain match burners. They do shoot great in a 1 in 8 twist. Unfortunately, this happened to be a 1 in 7 twist, and I needed that to shoot the copper bullets that I hunt with. Due to that though, I can max push 112s out of this at about 3,050 feet per second, and I get pressure signs at that point. Right, and it's due to the fact that I'm trying to, I can get the bullet to go faster in a 1 in 8 all day long. Think about trying to, right, the bullet engages the rifling and it is going to stick with the rifling all the way until it exits the muzzle. It's not going to jump the rifling. So at some point you hit kind of like terminal velocity where it's not going to increase anymore regardless how much pressure you put behind it. You can't have, right, failures like the bullets will explode and basically shed their jacket if you are able to actually push them way hotter than they should go. Unfortunately, with, right, pushing a heavy for caliber bullet like the 112s, you just hit a point where you're not going to excel your velocity any further. You're just going to get pressure signs at your brass. You'll blow your primers out and things like that. So I do actually have a 1 in 8 twist barrel on the way, which is great. And just to kind of give a comparison, the rifle that's on the lower thing behind me, the lower rack, is my HAL 1500 build. It's a 243 Ackley with a match chamber, so it's throated long, and I am shooting 112s out of that at 2950. So basically the exact same, and same thing with this, I'm shooting them at 2950, and that's due to the fact that I'm hitting pressure above where I'm at. So I am going based off of, what shoots accurately, but also how fast I can actually push it without killing my brass. I'm able to push 112s out of my 22 inch faster than I am out of my 26 inch. which you know, shouldn't be the case. I should be getting right around probably, I don't know, 100 to 150 feet per second faster out of a 26-inch barrel versus my 22, and it's due to the fact that my 22 is a 1 in 8 twist. So for anyone who's looking at getting a 6mm, please don't fall into the trap of thinking that you have to get a 1 in 7 or a 1 in 7.5 twist to shoot, you know, 105s. In reality, you can actually shoot 105s in a 1 in 9 twist. I have another 243 Ackley with a 1 in 9 twist that shoots 105s great. And it's not because it's shooting them in super high velocity. It's actually an 18-inch barrel, and I shoot them at about 2,900 feet a second. You don't need to get super fast twist barrels, and if you do get a slower twist, like if I was going to shoot 105s out of an Ackley at some point, I would get a 1 in 8.5 twist barrel. That's what I would go with. Just on the off chance there are some other ones, like some of the burgers say you can shoot their 105s out of a, you know, 1 in 9 twist, but some guys say depending on what elevation you're at, that can affect bullet stability. So, right, to give it the extra RPMs, it's going to need to just be stable in any environment. I would give it, you know, rather than a 1 in 9, I'd go with a 1 in 8.5. So just keep that in mind for your guys' next build, because a lot of barrel makers, like when you're ordering a Criterion barrel through Northland Shooter Supply, you can either get barrels that are on hand, like this one happened to be on hand, or you can basically get a custom barrel. They don't have a 1 in 8.5 twist. Packnor does, and you can get Remington barrels through Packnor, but they do have 1 in 8. So I have a 1 in 8 twist barrel coming for this, and the Howitt behind me. So get out, go shoot, go have fun. I don't have any extra stuff for you guys today, but subscribe. I appreciate you guys checking out the rifle build, and have a good 2024.